and welcome back to Mysteries Channel. Today, I wanted to say I apologize for not uploading yesterday, but it was Veterans Day and my kids all had assemblies, so we kind of had like a fun-filled family day of running from school to school. It was awesome. And I want to say thank you to all the veterans out there. You're deeply appreciated. We're very lucky to have you, and thank you for your service and all that you do. I want to talk about giants today. I'm just going to throw it out there. Let's talk about giants. Stories of giants have been around since the very beginning of civilization, right? They are mentioned in many ancient texts. They're mentioned in the Bible, European history, Native American history, Chinese history. Any corner of the world where there is an oral tradition, there's probably an oral tradition related to giants. Now, I know, we have tall people today, right? There are super tall people that you could totally classify as giants out there. But what were giants said to have been before? It's not like that 7'3" person that lives down the road from you, you know what I mean? Giants were like 10 to 12 feet, sometimes even taller than that. Can you imagine running into a dude that's like 12 feet tall or some chick that could just literally stomp your ass down like that? Now, I agree. There's still giants out there today. However, I don't think that is what spurred all these old stories that we have about giants. No, I think there was a race of giants that once roamed the earth. And I think that if you dig around enough, you're going to find a lot of evidence of it. So, when is the first time I ever heard of giants? Like I've said before, I was not raised in a religious family. And although I was super into mysteries, I was way more into, UFOs and ghost mysteries and stuff like that when I was a kid. I didn't really think about like ancient traditions, oral histories, and any of that stuff. I just didn't care about that. That wasn't mysterious. That was just boring old history. So, years and years ago, I was going to visit my sister-in-law in Nevada. Okay, so we stopped at this town, Lovelock, Nevada. Super small town. And I'm not going to lie, this is in no way is disrespect, but I've never been more creeped out traveling through a part of the country as I have in Nevada. And I'm not going to lie, it's like the hills have eyes type shit. We got to a point, we were on the Idaho border, in fact, and I swear to you, here is the border. Here's Nevada, here's Idaho. The last damn tree you're going to see is right here on the border. We passed through, and the deeper you get, like you pass through and there's like these little casino towns and stuff. And then once you get past that, there is freaking nothing. There is nothing. There aren't trees. There aren't towns. What there is these trailers in groups of 5 off the highway that sometimes have a gas station attached to it. And sometimes in the window of the gas station, it says post office. It doesn't look like anyone lives there. It doesn't look like that place is open. I wouldn't know because there was no freaking way I was going to stop the car there at all. I've seen enough on TV. I know what the hell happens in places like that. Truly felt like that for most of Nevada. But there was a point that I knew we had to stop. We're getting close to being empty. And my husband decides, we're going to pull over here. This is a bigger town for Nevada. And it was Lovelock. How big? About 1,500 people. Tiny little town, right? Just friggin' tiny. And, but you could tell that a lot of people stopped there. The gas station's off the highway. We stop in, and while there, I am waiting in line, and there is a spindle of postcards. Postcards from Lovelock. Who would have thought? But on there is a postcard talking about a legend from the area. And that is the legend of the giants of Lovelock Cave. What? So, let's go over it. Lovelock has a giant cave. This cave was formed by, was an enormous lake, and the tides of this lake created this cave somehow. Now, it's an arid desert area, and there are a few lakes there that are remnants of this once enormous lake, and that would be like Humboldt Lake and Pyramid Lake. So, in 1910, Lovelock has a cave that is discovered, and it is full to the brim of bat guano. What does that mean? Money! 2 miners are hired to excavate all that guano out and ship it to San Francisco. Guano is used for fertilizer at the time, and man, that is one of the dirty jobs of history. These 2 dudes go out in there and they are shoveling out enormous amounts of guano, and they are sending it to San Francisco. They do know immediately, this place might be a place of significance because they are pulling out skeletons, they are pulling out artifacts. It is obvious that people had lived in these caves a very long time ago and for a very long time. But no matter, they're there to make money, people. They take Whatever they can figure out is too big, like they don't want to ship a bunch of trash back. They'll probably get in trouble for that. So they start a trash pile out beside of the cave, and they're just literally hucking. Oh, look at this old pottery, or this old masonry, this old pottery. Let's just throw that there. Oh, look at that skull. Look at this enormous skull. Throw that back there. No shit's given at all. In fact, major eye roll to you dummies. Freaking stupid. So yeah, they are digging this cave out, making money, sending stuff back. In fact, they're sending a lot of artifacts back to San Francisco, even with this huge pile outside that, they're just decimating. A lot of it, because they're not taking the time to go through everything, obviously. They're just shoveling it into carts that eventually will fill up a train that's going that way. And in San Francisco, they're finding some of this stuff. They're like, wow, that's totally interesting. Throw that in the trash. Hell, even if they had wanted to save it, I think the San Francisco fire is right around this time, so it probably would have burned anyway. But yeah, they excavate to the point where they are now finding way more artifacts than bat guano. It's to the point where they're just like, whoa, this place is. It's like finding a buried treasure. They found a treasure trove of artifacts, and they were like, all right, even we have to say, like, we got to call it at this point. So they call the University of California, and they're like, hey, just so you know, we were pulling guano out of this cave, and we found something that's probably significant. You should come and check it out. Now, this cave has had a lot of names throughout its history, and some of the different names that it's gone by is the Lovelock Cave, the Sunset Guano Cave, Horseshoe Cave, and Loud Side 18. Once I saw Loud Side 18, I was like, well, that's different. What the hell is that about? So it turns out that when he called the University of California, they sent out Lilwin L. Loud out to the site, and it must have been his 18th site that he had been working on. So that's how Loud Site 18 came to be. Well, when Loud got there, he was like, wow, these two dudes uncovered the largest archaeological and anthropological find in that area to date. Like, it was enormous. Took Loud 8 or 17 years to completely dig everything out of that cave, and he finds so much. And this is after they trashed tons of it, and a lot of it. They trashed so much stuff. They had an enormous pile of completely broken up, busted up artifacts. They shipped so much of it back to San Francisco, and he still spent the next 17 years digging out this cave. Crazy to think about, right? Obviously, he thought it was inhabited by the local tribe, and that would be the Paiute Indians. So what do the Paiutes say about this area and about this cave specifically? Well, that, my friends, is where the giants come in. The Paiutes have an oral history about a large race of giants that they exterminated in this very cave. So, according to the Paiute, it is about the Si-Te-Cah. They are a legendary trace of red-headed giants that were cannibals that terrorized their local tribesmen. Si-Te-Cah literally means tool eaters, and tool is a fibrous plant, and the race of giants used these plants also to make rafts because they were living in the center of the lake at this point because the Paiute were terrorizing them back, The Si-Te-Cah were eating their people, and they were just not having it, and they were at war. It was a literal all-out war. So they have this war raging on, and after a long struggle, it's going on for a long time, the Paiute decide to form a coalition with many of the other tribes in the area, and together, all these tribes worked together to overthrow and defeat the giants. And what did they do? They finally got them pushed back off the lake all the way up into this cave. And once in the cave, the giants are holding their ground. They're like, fucking little people think they own us. We'll just wait them out. We'll wait them out in here. Obviously, they were already living in there, and I wonder if a lot of the stuff that was thrown out was from this race of giants, but the giants end up in this cave. And the coalition of Native American forces come around the cave, and they're trying to get them out, and the giants are like, nope, not going to happen. They're like, fine. We don't want your people here anyway. They load brush up all the way around the cave, and they're throwing it in there as well, and they form a massive fire and literally burn them up, annihilating the end of this race, because it was a long war, numbers were dwindling, and this was the end to them altogether, all the way around. So the Paiute Indians are kind of like saviors of the area. They're very well respected because they destroyed and defeated the enemy, and That is their story. That is their oral tradition of the area. Now, as is very common throughout our time and, within the last couple of hundred years, but even all the way up to this very friggin' day, scholars and authors and people of renown go in and say, that is mythology and folklore. Now, it is said that mummified remains believed to fit the Paiute description were discovered by the miners in that guano in 1911, but many scholars and theologians and people of renown say that no. I know that the natives have this tradition, this oral tradition of these giants in the area, but obviously that is bullshit. Freaking native liars. I'll just talk about one woman who is cited a lot when it comes to this cave and what she says about it. Her name is Adrienne Mayer, and she writes about the Si-Te-Cah in her book, Fossil Legends of the First Americans, and suggests that the giant interpretation of the skeletons from Lovelock Cave and other dry caves in Nevada was started by entrepreneurs setting up tourist displays, and that the skeletons themselves were of normal size. So she is suggesting that the skeletons presented to the tourists, to draw them into the area were of normal sized people, because people are so dumb they wouldn't be able to tell a regular skeleton from a giant one. And she also says, and I quote, however, about 100 miles north of the Lovelock area, there are plentiful fossils of mammoths and cave bears, and their large limbs could easily have been thought to be of those of giants by the untrained observer. Are you freaking serious, woman? The untrained observer would see that there is a human skull versus an animal skull, but whatever. What do I know? I'm no scholar. Needless to say that this is insane to me. Native Americans lived off the land and hunted all the animals, and I'll say 1,000% sure that they were confident in what they were seeing and that they were 100% indeed trained observers. And many people that were traveling through the area at the time weren't complete and utter idiots. Like, they could tell a giant skull from a regular skull, but hey, what do I know, right? She also discusses the red hair of the mummies that were pulled out, and she says that basically hair isn't stable, and so darker hair will turn to red if certain factors, various factors such as temperature, soil, etc., can affect it, and that it would make hair look maybe a rusty red color. Now, I'm sure this is probably true, but it's interesting that, the natives of the area already talked about red-headed giants, and, well, they found some red-headed giants, but those were probably animals with dark hair, I'm sure. Hair, not fur. Some kind of weird hybrid freaking animal. And that hair turned red, not because they had red hair, but because of soil and various conditions in the area. Noted. And in the end, a lot of scholars do agree with her and say that no giants were found. It was just an exaggerated and concocted story. Well, here's my question then. If the Paiute Indians were so good at exaggerating and concocting stories, what about everybody else that talks about this stuff out there? Giants have been found all over North America and Central America and South America, China, Europe. They've been found everywhere. And yes, like I said before, giants walk among us now. But the giants that walk among us now, I don't think there's anyone that's 12 foot tall or anyone that's 10 foot tall. So I thought, maybe it's me. Maybe I am more prone to believe mysteries and fantasies, and more prone to believe people that have an oral tradition that maybe it's based in truth somehow. Not all of it, but there's probably some of it, especially the ones that show up over and over and over and over again. There's a flood myth. There's a cataclysm myth. There's myths about giants, and there's a lot of other ones that show up all over the world. So maybe I am more prone to believe this one because it shows up all over the world, and I don't think everybody was a bunch of liars concocting myths for extra tourism. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I wonder if I can go and look up and see if there was ever any giants found, because this woman says that these giants were actually manufactured by animal bones. So I wonder if I can find anything online. Let's look. Oh, look at this. I found an article about a giant race that is from Arkansas, the mound builders of Chickasawbia, and they were between 8 and 10 feet tall. Well, that says a race, so I'm pretty sure they found more than one skeleton, and indeed they do find skeletons, so here's that article. Is there anything else I can find? Oh, look at that. Some more mound builders. This time they're all the way up in Illinois, Carthage, Illinois. Looks like they found some skeletons there. Oh, look at that. This one is my favorite because it's out of Nevada. I wonder if the entire state of Nevada, if all the natives there were just lying about their history. Interesting. This one was examined by a physician, and he believes that these are the largest remains discovered yet. So there were other remains discovered, but these were the largest yet. Whoa, Doc, stay in your lane. Natives are untrained observers, and there are no giants, you dummy. All right, let's see what else we can find. Here's a small blurb about 2 giant skeletons found in New York by workmen. Nothing to see here, people move along. Although the blurb was mentioned about 6 papers around the country, the year 1897. Here is an article of a giant human skeleton found in Mexico. What year? 1930. Oh, another good one. This one, he is going to go giant hunting after the war is over. What war? World War II. This article talks about the giants of China and Java. Oh, here is another one. Ooh, this one's interesting. This talks about a race of Aboriginal giants of North America, the northernmost portions of America, the Labrador Wilds up in Canada. Maybe these giants could explain Oak Island. Shit, that's probably not true either. That's probably some fabricated myth for tourism. All right, I'll stop being a smartass. I think my point's been made. I will link all these articles in the description box so you can read them at your leisure. But yeah, I think that there was a race of giants that walked the earth. I think it because, well, they find giant skeletons all over the damn place, and there are so many oral traditions stating that there was indeed a race of giants. Where did they go? To be honest, I'm also going to lean on the oral traditions, and I'm going to say that they went to hell in a handbasket. There aren't very many stories out there that we worked well with giants and that we were friends or that they didn't eat us. So I think that we outbred them. We were able to have more people around than they were able to have giants. And because of that, we were able to work in large teams like the Paiute do in their oral tradition. And in sheer numbers, we beat them even though they had size and brute strength. And over time, we finally annihilated that race, and there are remnants of them, everywhere. We just like to pretend like everybody was a liar in the past. And I honestly think that it comes down to, we feel this generation now, and even a few generations before, in fact, many generations before, but we feel like we are so absolutely correct in our wisdom because we are so resolute in our superiority in knowledge, in science, and everything else that we discount anything that was talked about before. We just destroyed all these things that could give us answers to what our true past was. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching my video. If you like what you saw, or if you find any of it interesting, please give me a like, a comment, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you live in an area that has any kind of oral tradition about giants from the past? I would love to know. I think this shit is fascinating. All right, thanks and have a great day.